What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to PWTorch Fireside Chat, your NXT. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to... What is happening right now? I'm having technical problems. There we go. All good now. Welcome on in. Thanks for being with me. I appreciate it. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn, and yeah, it's Tuesday afternoon, so we are previewing NXT. I thank you all for joining me live. Always good to have you guys. Get your questions in about NXT, tonight's episode of NXT, and what I think could very easily be just a really interesting show for a lot of reasons, and the main one being the new kind of look and feel of the show. We had the tease last week of the black and gold coming back to NXT. Triple H is in charge, and so they teased that new logo. You can see it, right as the logo for this show right here. And so that to me is one of the most intriguing parts of tonight. Is do we see like a new look NXT right out of the gate right now? Or is this something that they're going to promote a little bit and try to milk and try to get a little more out of it? I don't know. But it is exciting nonetheless. That new look, feel, and new tease that they pulled out of their hat at the end of last week's show, I think it can resonate in a lot of different ways. NXT was Triple H's baby for the longest time. And then, they pivoted about a year ago now, a little over a year ago now. And you have to wonder what will go along with that change to black and gold, if anything. Maybe it is strictly a rebrand, to get people buzzing again about NXT, to try to, pop some viewership. But really, when you watch the show, you won't see that much of a difference. Braun Breaker is still going to be at the top of the card. Same thing with Mandy Rose, and we're still going to be trying lots of new acts out. And so from a content perspective, it's intriguing, because which way does it go? Does it stay kind of on the NXT 2.0 path of, hey, we're going to take it more seriously as a developmental system and less of like, a corporate independent wrestling show, if that makes any sense, right? Like, I just think that will be interesting. As Azan says here in the chat, thanks Azan for dropping it in. Welcome everybody. If you just joined us, please put your comments in the chat about NXT tonight. We'll get to some questions a little bit later. But yeah, NXT might be looking to take people away from the indies again, and that was a major part of Triple H's strategy, kind of in the rise of NXT, going after Kevin Owens, going after Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, so many different talents that maybe were never fully realized their potential on the main roster for whatever reason. They weren't able to hold up their end of the bargain, or Vince McMahon didn't see anything in them. Well, that's changed now. That's a whole different situation there with Triple H running the show. So it'll be interesting to see that. Is Braun Breaker still going to be a guy that's pushed? I think yes. I think he's shown. I think he's shown enough. Mandy Rose, same thing. I don't think we're going to get like a big drastic pivot in terms of what NXT is right now, because look, honestly, it makes sense for it to be what it is in a lot of ways. Yes, you want to watch entertaining television. Yes, you want to see big stars, but it is a developmental system for the main roster. And so while, I don't think Triple H is going to have the same mindset that Vince McMahon did about talent he wants to push. It sounds like he's going to be more open-minded as far as who the talent is that he's going to push on the main roster. So like somebody that thrives in NXT like Adam Cole did may have a future on the main roster, where he really didn't with Vince McMahon in charge. But remember, Triple H is spearheading the collegiate program that WWE has to bring in collegiate level athletes. that they can turn into stars, hopefully. So he still very much has that kind of strategy in mind for his brand and for the long-term future of not just NXT, but the whole company. And so, that to me is going to be fascinating to watch. My gut tells me that we're going to see a branding change back to the black and gold. But I think the names that we see right now on television on a week-to-week basis, Breakker, McDonagh, Von Wagner, Carmelo Hayes, et cetera, Cord Jade, Roxanne Perez. I still think that's your core NXT, even in the black and gold environment. But we'll see. You guys, next week on this show, you may be like, hey, Zach, what in the hell were you talking about? But that's the fun of it, right? So Fark, hello, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Hi, and bye. And Hassan, is it Hassan or Hassan? Want to make sure I get that right. But thanks very much for being here. Appreciate it. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us and talk a little NXT. Let's get to a Hassan question here. Maybe more crossover with the main shows, since the Bloodline have an NXT North American Championship and Raw and SmackDown guys have been showing up lately. Could be. I mean, it could easily be. I mean, Triple H, he's not ending the brand split, so to speak, but yeah, people willy-nilly are appearing on all sorts of different shows. So I think it's a possibility, and that was something that Wade has said for a long time. Like, if you use Raw and SmackDown more effectively to promote NXT, like why wouldn't you? And under Vince McMahon, I think you got like flashes of it, like a graphic here or a little commercial promo spot there, but nothing like consistent that would say, hey, man, I saw this guy on Raw. I need to watch NXT on Tuesday nights to see more of them. And I don't necessarily mean, Hassan, like that they should even be on the show proper, but a video package, something hyping up Breakker, get people excited about him. That, I think, is probably more so the better strategy to go. Otherwise, you really muddy up. You really muddy up the waters. Let's say it that way. Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming. Thank you all for being here once again. Let's get into the actual preview of the show. It's not a deep show tonight, so I'm curious as to what the viewership number is going to look like, because it really at least right now, none of the major names of NXT 2.0 period are featured at all. So the matches we have are Sanga versus Von Wagner, Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley against Toxic Attraction, Cord Jade against Wendy Chu, Axiom versus Nathan Frazier in a best of 3 series, and this is the second match. And then the main event, JD McDonagh versus Tyler Bate for a number 1 contendership to Bron Breakker's NXT Championship. So a little soft on the talent, though I think there's some really good matches on this show. McDonagh and Bate being one of them. They have a history together, and they're both just great wrestlers. So I mean, that if that's your thing, story aside, that's going to be a really good match. And I think that is it's interesting that they're going that direction for Breakker at this point, because he's wrestled both guys, he's beaten both guys, and I question the decision to go back to this so fast. Bron Breakker needs a top level opponent, a fresh one, so that he continues to be fresh. And it's not that he can't have a good match with JD McDonagh. He has. It's not like he can't have a good match with Tyler Bate. He has, but it's kind of been there, done that. And I think Bate and McDonagh, they're not, or at least they weren't. And so maybe that framing changes up here in a little bit, but they weren't presented as really real threats to Breakker's championship. They were wrestling for the title, but they really weren't fully credible. They were more like, here's a batch of opponents that Bron Breakker can essentially steamroll, but have good matches with, and maybe learn some. So I don't think it was like a fool's errand putting Breaker against those two. But is it something you're really going to go back to again? Like that's where I'm questioning, the decision to go ahead and do this again. But we'll see. The match tonight's going to be really good. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Janie McDonough in this. I Breaker and Bates, they're both baby faces. I think Bron Breakker in particular needs protection from that, just because I think he's a strong baby face at times, but I think the audience at times can sense WWE and NXT like, hey, we're pushing this guy. This is going to be our next guy, right? And sometimes that can kind of stab you. And I think Bate is such a popular performer, and he's so good that he kind of brings that out of the crowds because he's just a likable guy. So what's up, Dr. Ross? Thanks for being here, my friend. Always a pleasure talking to NXT, tonight's NXT episode. So what do you guys think? If you're out there listening, you're in the chat. Thinking I'm having technical. Okay, good. No technical issues. I'm back. Stick with me. What do you guys think? Who's winning? Who's winning the match? The main event? McDonagh or Bate? Drop it in the chat. Would love to hear. Your thoughts. This is. I don't know, Azan. I think Grayson Waller is ready. I think he and Bron Breakker right now could have a really good top level NXT feud. Am I putting Waller in the main event yet? No, absolutely not. But in the main event of WrestleMania yet? No, I'm not. But can he hold down the fort with Bron Breakker and do maybe a 2-3 month story arc? Yeah, I think it can. I think it can work. Absolutely. Waller can talk, man, and I'd like to see that kind of emphasized and kind of not have him not floundering, but he's pretty directionless at this point. And so I think he needs to sink his teeth into something more significant. Dr. Ross, you're cracking me up. Where's the hat? Went with the style today. Went with a little bit of hair gel. It doesn't happen often post pandemic, but I went with it today. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna ditch the hat. And yeah, pretty much giving up on the Bears, right? Is there anything to believe in at this point? I am a tortured Bears fan, you guys. Tortured to the max. Sunday's game hurt real bad. Okay, let's go through the undercard here. Sanga versus Von Wagner. Guys, Von Wagner, I mean, my goodness gracious. I don't even know what to say about that guy. He's got size, and that's it. But the personality isn't there. It looks as if he might as well be holding a script like this in front of his face regularly. He sounds like he's reading. There's no connection to his character. There's no personality there. Nothing pops off the screen. Even in matches, it's even in a squash match, it's just this guy has no oomph behind him. And so I don't know what you do there. He's gonna get every shot in the world to make it work because of his size. But man, he's got to find something. He's got to find a voice. He's got to find an attitude. He's got to find that charisma that can go along with his size. Because right now it is just flat as flat can be. I don't think he's a menacing heel at all. In this match, I think Wagner's going to get the win, which I guess is not a bad thing, given that they're trying to build him up. But he wins these kinds of matches. And then he loses the big ones. And I think he loses those big ones because he just isn't able to figure it out on the character side or the talking side. And so, yeah, they've got problems there. But I'll take Von Wagner here to go over. Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley against Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane. I think it's a good match for the women's division, a good mid-card women's division match. Two competitors for the NXT women's tag team titles. Makes sense to have them go at it. They've been working on this Ivy Nile, Tatum Paxley situation and their partnership. So it'll be nice to see that in action. And I like the fact that this doesn't seem totally out of the blue. Like they've set and planted some seeds around for this match to make sense right now. And so I like that. I like that formatting. I like the way that's gonna work. I'm high on Toxic Attraction. So as much as Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley could use the win to kind of prop them up a bit, you go with Toxic Attraction here. I mean, the upside there is significant, and I just think that you want to protect them. They're a top attraction for your show. And pun not intended, but proud that I that I went there with it. But you got to put them over, put over the Stars. And right now, Toxic Attraction is the Stars. I think they get the win here. And what I think will be a really good match. Cora Jade against Wendy Choo. This is the Cora Jade show, I think. This is all about Cora Jade. She turned heel and is kind of, she hasn't floundered. She's maintained some of that momentum, but hasn't increased the momentum at all. And this will be a great chance for her to get some heat back, at least to start. And then, I believe we're going to get an angle at either during this match or at the end, or causing Cora Jade the match against Wendy Choo. Roxanne Perez, I think, is going to be back. I mean, she has unfinished business with Cora Jade. I think they've really done the feud between those two a total disservice by not focusing on it enough. Like Jade and Perez are saying the right words. They're saying the words of bitter rivals, but I don't buy it fully. I'm not buying that they really dislike each other as much as they say that they do. And that's my issue. I'm not believing the feud there. And so I think they've got to inject this with something that makes people invest and makes people care more than they do right now. I think on the surface, Cora Jade has showed some things as a heel. I think she's shown kind of a more natural personality. I think she's more comfortable playing the heel role. And then Roxanne Perez on the other side of the coin, she's the natural babyface through and through. I mean, it's like Bailey level babyface. Not quite there, but it's close. I mean, it's just such a natural fit. And so because you have those two entities colliding head on and like both of them in their lanes and comfortable, this should be a hotter program than it is right now, period. And so I think they're going to use this match tonight as a means to heat that up, either for a television match or maybe a takeover match at some point. So that I think that's what you're going to see here. Real quick on Wendy Choo, guys, am I the only one? Am I the only one that just does not get it? Like, or is there somebody else out there that can that feels like I do? I'm like, wait, what is the gimmick here? What is going on here? How do you make that act seem like a worthy challenger for a fight? I don't know. It just seems so like it's just too cute, overdone, and I don't. Real life in what way? I'm not sure I can agree with this, Azad. I'm not sure I can agree with this. I don't. What's the ceiling? Where's the upside there with an act like that? Yeah, it could be cute. It may do some business. Maybe they can sell pillows on the main roster. I don't know. But regardless, it doesn't have the long-term staying power that, that Roxanne Perez has, or a Cora Jade, or even like a, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane. I think they have gimmicks and action characters that are more suited for, for that main roster. Yeah, that's fair. Fair is on when you choose the Orange Cassidy of NXT. Fair. But it's like, are you copying too much? Are you copying too much and not kind of, setting your own character and just trying to do Orange Cassidy? And no one can do Orange Cassidy better than Orange Cassidy does. So that's what I would say to that. But good point, though. Very good point. What's happening with Gable Steveson, Dr. Ross? News indicates that he's kind of like on the back burner a little bit. and that maybe his progress hasn't happened as quick as they liked or would have liked. So we'll have to see. And yeah, he's got some legal issues too. So we'll have to see there. But I would imagine that he's not going to spend too much time in NXT if and when he gets called to the main roster. I mean, he's a big name. I mean, in the end, yes, he needs reps, but he's a big enough name where that's gonna pull in some viewers. And so I think you debut him on the main roster when the time comes. But I don't get the sense from what I've heard, and this is unofficial, but that's imminent. If anything, I think it's the opposite. And then last but not least here today, guys, Axiom versus Nathan Frazier, best of 3 series match. This is match number 2. I don't want to say this is a time filler, but it kind of is, right? I mean, Axiom and Frazier aren't on like this journey with one another or journey towards something else on NXT. I don't think that they're going to be championship bound anytime soon. So when I say filler, that's what I mean. I think this is going to be a good match. I think it's going to get a good chunk of time. I think it's going to be really entertaining to watch. Axiom and Frazier are both top in-ring talents in NXT, but it lacks context. If we're being frank, it just absolutely lacks context. It's happening. Where do the guys go? It'd be nice if at the end of this we see some kind of character development for either one of them. That maybe places one on the babyface side of things and one on the heel side of things. I don't know, but it's going to be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. But outside of that, I don't think that match is going to hook viewers just because it's kind of just happening. You know what I mean? Want to just get to one last question here. I'm going to scroll back up. Let's see. Dr. Ross, where is that? Okay, here we go. Yes. Is there anyone on the main roster who'd benefit with a stint on NXT? Yeah, I think Nikki ASH chimed in and said that, and I second that. The other one that I don't know what the appetite for this is going to be, because he's doing, in my opinion, pretty well right now on the main roster. But after a long run of not doing so well, and that's Dominic Mysterio. I think Dominic could really use some time in NXT to develop the talent and develop the character more than anything, learn how to talk a little bit better. And then I think he can grow into a strong performer. So that'd be who I say, like, drop him down, get him more reps, get him more experience. At the same time, I would not bet on that just because he's involved in such a big storyline right now on Monday Night Raw. But good question. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for being here to preview NXT. Tomorrow, right here on the channel, pretty much the same time, not confirmed quite yet, but we will preview AEW's big Grand Slam event, the record-breaking Grand Slam event tomorrow night for Dynamite inside of Arthur Ashe Stadium. So be here, and we will preview that show. Big world title match, tag team title match. It's all there, and we'll talk about it right here on PWTorch YouTube channel. Dr. Ross, Hazan, Hassan, Sir Fark, and everybody else who joined in and who will watch this on delay. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time.